Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Catherine Mattice, the founder and CEO of Civility Partners. We are a consulting firm focused on building positive, respectful, thriving workplaces. Every Thursday, I do a show with someone somewhere in the world who is in that same realm and we can learn from related to building positive, thriving work environments. I've got Pradeep today, and Pradeep and I are going to talk about happiness. Pradeep has been a happiness coach for chief executive officers and executive coaches, and he focuses in the US, the Middle East, and India. So, Pradeep, thanks so much for being here with me.
Most welcome. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes.
I got to ask, how did you get into happiness coaching?
Right from my childhood, I was looking for something which cannot be divided by thought, which is not dependent on your external circumstances, because it's like putting the cart before the horse and saying, I will be happy if XYZ conditions are fulfilled. So
Right.
that's counterintuitive, but that's the world is going. And that is what through my intense research and analysis, I found that that is not the way to go, and that's not sustainable. So I was looking for something which is independent of what is happening around you, so that happiness is never taken away from you. You're in control of your own happiness, and happiness is your own nature. So the very act of looking for it when you are already it takes it away from you.
Yeah. And I've seen research too that in fact, if we wait for things like I'll be happy when I get this promotion or I get this car or I buy this house, that actually that hurts our happiness because we have all these expectations about how happy we'll be, and they maybe aren't met, and then it actually drives down your happiness a little bit. So give me what is the definition of happiness?
Happiness is beyond all definitions for the very fact that it is a priori situation, a priori state, uh, where you are happy within yourself, content within yourself. But what happens when you actually run after a certain desire or a thought, you are starting to put conditions around it, and then you lose the happiness. So when we were children, we used to play. We enjoyed our life, whether we are breaking stuff or playing with other kids. We didn't need anything for being happy. But as we grew up, we got conditioned to think that I will be happy, if I get this job or if I make $1 billion, or I get name and fame. So all those counterintuitive thought processes creep into us as part of our cultural conditioning wherever we are living. So the more we become aware of it, the better for us.
Yeah, that's a great example, that, or a good reminder that as kids, that conditioning's not there. I sometimes think back to my daughter who's 8. Maybe this was a couple years ago. She made a kite at her school. So she came home and she was running around the court flying her kite. And of course, her little brother, who's 5 years younger than him, he wanted to have a kite. So all I did was take a piece of computer paper, punch a hole in it, attach a string on one end and a ribbon on the other, so it looked like her kite. We knew it, obviously it's not going to fly. But he just was so happy to run after her, and his little kite's just dragging on the ground. He was just happy as a clam. And your comment reminded me of that. Yeah, all he needed was a piece of paper.
Exactly. So my point is, there is no one-to-one correlation between happiness and what you're desiring to try to achieve, what goals you're creating in your mind. Your actual happiness is before that. It's prior to that.
Yeah.
The search for it itself is counterintuitive.
Yeah. So this is a big, profound question, and you've kind of alluded to it, but let's talk about it more. What is the secret to happiness?
The more we understand the structure of happiness, how does happiness happen? When we are in a peaceful state, we are happy. But when a desire comes, our energy jumps up to a particular object or a particular state and tries to achieve it. And then we come back to a natural state and there is a kink in that graph of when the next desire comes. So during that time, we are with ourselves. We are happy. But we somehow correlate that happiness to the achievement of that particular object or desire, and then we get caught up into the illusion. Whereas really, it is the kink in the graph when you are actually yourself.
Okay. And it's a kind of a state of being as opposed to a thing that we achieve. So it could be, yeah, it could be achieving a goal that, or even just enjoying time with your family, or there's probably a variety of things that drive our happiness. Is that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So all our actions are arising out of happiness, whether it's a single-celled organism or even highly evolved beings. They're all searching for their own self, their own happiness. But unfortunately, the search is outside rather than inside. That's the only challenge.
Okay, so don't search outside for happiness, search inside. How do we do that? I mean, when you're coaching your executives around this, I mean, what kinds of advice do you give them? How do we focus internally to find our happiness?
Good question, Catherine. So my program is purely experiential, so there's nothing for me to teach. So it's more about becoming aware. Not by any mental construct or by any knowledge, but more in terms of going deeper and deeper within yourselves without the thought coming in the way. So that's why my programs are based on silence, by leveraging the power of silence. So I take people into a deep silence and then open it out for an interactive Q&A where they can ask questions specific to their business or their personal setting. So what happens is we are in our own way of achieving happiness. There's nobody else who is standing in the way. So I've had experiences where I coach CEOs and executive coaches to go into a deeper silence, and then whatever problems they had just before they got into the silence, it's all dissolved. So it's not solved, it is dissolved. So it's no longer there because those thoughts have melted away, and they're able to see themselves more clearly. They are very, from a corporate perspective, they become more cohesive, more empathetic, more helpful to each other, without even saying a single word. So, so that's how powerful it is. And the silence is like the mother from which all thoughts come, all languages, cultures, conditioning, all perceptions, everything comes from that silence. So, going back to that state, it clears up everything.
Okay.
So I've had situations where certain CEOs had challenges with their board members. They were able to come out of transcend their thought paradigms and start interacting with those board members and had good relationships. Similarly, on a personal level, there are many coaches and CEOs who have benefited from this program just by the silence.
Okay. I got someone commented on it and I noticed it too. I don't know if we'll be able to address it, but there's a kind of a sound that's coming through like a background noise when you speak. So I don't know if it's your microphone or if there's something you can do quickly to address that but I don't want to spend a ton of time on tech problems here.
Yeah. Otherwise, we have very limited time, so probably we'll just have to bear with it.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I feel too. You're saying all kinds of good stuff. So we'll just, if you're listening, just ignore that background noise. So is that silence that you're leading people through, is that several sessions of silence, and how long are they silent for? And then it sounds like from there, you are able to help them sort of process whatever they were thinking about while they were in that silence. Is that?
A good question, Catherine. So it's very intuitive driven. So I can sense the energy depending on how their energy is settled. And depending on that, I decide how long and how far they have to go into it. So it's no one size fits all kind of approach. It's more of what the traffic can bear, what each person needs at that particular time. So what a person needs at a particular time might be different from what he needs from a different time. So it's all driven by that intuitiveness, that perception of awareness of the energy, how the energy settles, and then based on that I take a call, and then I open it out for an interactive Q&A where they can ask questions specific to their business or their personal setting.
Okay. So, I'm in the business of creating positive, respectful work environments. Helping people be more happy is not something I do, but could see how that might tie in. If people are happier, maybe they're less likely to be rude to others and so on. What's something that I might be able to give to my clients in this realm of helping them find happiness? If I wanted to add that, can you give me, what's a quick nugget that I could give to my own clients?
A beautiful question, Catherine. So just to give you a sense of what could be a potential use case, there was a executive coach based in Tampa, Florida. She was working with a group of operational executives, and she was an established executive coach, and she had a lot to offer to them. And she was trying her best, but they were highly conflicted between themselves due to some situations in the office, bullying or whatever. And then I suggested her to do a 10-minute silence before she actually gave that what she had to deliver. And she took them into a silence, and then they became receptive to what she had to say, and they were able to benefit from her program. Simple as that.
Okay. So
So instead of talking about more about trying to gain knowledge, the more we get connected within ourselves, the less conflicted we are, the more harmonious we are with ourselves and with the surroundings around us.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes absolute sense. What's one final comment that you have for us? How do we achieve happiness in our personal lives? Maybe that's my question.
The happiness, as we discussed, cannot be defined, but if we understand how we get conflicted, then that can open the door for the happiness, in the sense that we get identified with our bodies. And namely, I say that I'm Catherine or I'm Pradeep, but in reality, that's just a label. We are the energy field in which everything exists. So the more and more we become aware of that energy field, the less conflicted we are, and we start seeing what we call as the others as part of ourselves. So natural empathy arises. We start feeling that love, not the love as we define in so many words, but it's because of that oneness of experience that we start getting. Naturally, all the silos that are created by thought, they melt away, and the solution is found.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Pradeep. I enjoyed chatting with you. I appreciate learning from you today. And everyone listening in, feel free to reach out to Pradeep if you have more questions about happiness. And it was a great chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Truly appreciate it.